You just about ready to fire this thing up or what?
Yeah, we're just about there, ready to go.
No, I'm a Firebird guy. I had a 67 Firebird, which was the first year of production for the Firebirds, and I've always been fond of their styling and their looks. In 1964, the creation of a Mustang as a sort of grocery getter, and then its evolution into a performance car created the need for other companies to step up to the plate. General Motors needed something to take on the fastback Mustangs. And what they came up with was the Camaro in the Chevrolet division, and of course, Pontiac brought the Firebird out.
And it's just a great design. It's iconic. Everybody loves them. It doesn't matter whether you're a Ford guy, GM guy, Chrysler guy. You know, you see one of these and it's like, yeah, they're cool. Now we're ready to fire this thing up. The 67 Firebird came in for body paint and resto mod work.
Okay, coming in.
Yep.
The engine's in, beautiful LS 365 motor in there.
But we've modified the car to take a 6-speed transmission. Because there's so many modifications, we've had a custom drive shaft built for this car. I'll just make sure this fits in between the exhaust. Well, we're gonna put a modern serpentine kit on this to the front of the engine. Pulley kit is on, belt's on.
We've done new top,
It looks great. He's going to be really thrilled.
I know we are.
interior.
Well, it's come up pretty nice.
We lowered it because the stance was way too high. So now it looks sexy and sleek.
I think it looks way better.
Way better. They've been working hard and getting it ready to fire.
Yeah, all right, ready to go.
You good?
Yeah.
So we're gonna get at it and see what it sounds like.
Enough, everything's full up and everything, and
Everything's filled and everything's
Yeah.
out of the way.
Yep.
Well, anytime you go to fire up, I don't want to hear it crank and crank and crank. I want to make sure that it's, you know, gonna fire up instantly.
Batteries hooked up.
Batteries hooked up.
Ooh.
oh, that's a good side. You got a
Hey,
fuel
you
pump.
got fuel pump.
We got fuel pump.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the vitals are good in there.
Yeah, we got good oil pressure. It's charging. Got temp.
This thing roared to life in a hurry. It sounds amazing. I could hear the oil pressure come up bang on, and all the gauges were working. Yeah, it really has a good bark to it.
That sounds pretty nasty.
Whoa. Sounds good.
Talon did some nice exhaust work on that one.
Yeah,
loud.
sounds good.
It's loud. Loud and proud. I like it.
Next, we're waiting for an AC heater box to come in so we can finish off the air conditioning on it. But in the meantime, we're gonna start putting all of the trim work back on. Everything's been painted to match the car, so it's gonna be a full custom look. And it's going to be so pretty when it's finished.
All right.
Morning, Brad.
So, got the steering knuckle tight now. So
Okay.
Dave's hot rod landed in my bay, and I started just to kind of check over a few things, and it snowballed from there.
Brad's found that one of the front wheel assemblies was loose. One of the ball joints is worn.
I could take the wheel and move it like 3 inches, and that's a huge, huge thing. Lucky it didn't fly apart. Your wheel won't
Fall off?
Well, it wouldn't fall off. It'd just go that, and then you
Yeah.
go that way.
Yeah.
So-
We did that quick preliminary inspection before I drove it the first time. My fault for being excited and just jumping into it and starting to drive it before we really should have done a comprehensive inspection. But hey,
What really made me nervous was the people that signed my paychecks were riding around in the car, and the front wheel was ready to fall off. The passenger side steering knuckle was loose. So I've dressed that, tightened it all up, put some new hardware in it, torqued it. That's rectified. We'll get the drum back on and just adjust the brakes a little bit.
there's got some serious handling issues. It just changes lanes and darts all over the place. So it's like a real handful. Anything over 40 is like suicidal. A lot of this hot rod was done properly, but there's a few things that were just not properly thought through. It also had a carburetor issue. It just started sort of stumbling and not starting properly. And then carb kits
The carburetors were oozing gas out of them. So they were disassembled, cleaned. They've been reassembled and installed.
All the old parts on this thing, like all the vintage 50s speed parts are just great. There's a 1950s Ford Custom steering wheel. It's just nicely done. It matches the car. I love the checkerboard patterns in the wheel wells and on the firewall. I could see me building this as a model kit when I was 9. I haven't really improved since then. In the 1930s and 40s and 50s, hot rods literally were racing cars. People would drive their car to the track or to the salt flats or whatever. They're great. There's guys just foot to the floor, and they really were drivers to keep these things at speed on a dirt track. As soon as you hit the button, that little motor just fires to life, you know, aside from some small issues. It's just a great car.
So I just got to get it outside, set the carbs up with it running, and I think he's going to be really happy.
So the 69 Charger came in a few months ago for restoration work. Now the client's looking for a modern paint job that pays tribute to the original style. We ran into floor work, we ran into frame work. So right now what we're doing is we are going to gap the doors, we're gonna gap the fenders. We are gonna make sure that everything is nice and precise so that when it gets taken apart for its paint, it'll all go back together in the right spots, have the right door gaps and fender gaps and hood gaps.
Gap out a car is setting the distance between one panel to the next, so from quarter panel to door, which is important because if it's not gapped out properly, it disturbs the function of how the door closes into the quarter panel. This guy here and these two adjust your in and out. So when I tweak the door like this, do you see how the door is being sucked in at the top and the door is coming out from the quarter? So what you want to do is find that nice little sweet spot right in the middle. This door could come down a little bit though, but I just got to adjust the striker. So the striker is what latches the door into the door jamb. That way when somebody's in an accident or if you're not wearing your seatbelt, you don't fly out of the car. I'm just lowering the striker about 1/16 of an inch. I had to lift the door up to get the door to shut. It meant that the striker was too high. So just by doing that small adjustment, it should put it back in its spot. There we go, it's set. There is no room for error when it comes to gaps or wavy bodywork. It's going a really dark color and it's gonna show the true craftsmanship.
How am I gonna make that modern 12-volt bulb fit in this old headlight pot?
Barry's gonna get the Viper red stripe put on the back of it. You gotta make sure they're straight.
I think this goes on
Under or on top?
So after the body was done on the 69 Charger, Barry got it in, got some primer on it, and it's got the final prime on it now. And with the final prime comes final fitment. And this is where we make sure everything fits.
This fender's a different fender from what was on the car, so it'll be a different fit for sure. Just have to make sure it's all gonna line up. Yeah, you want to get everything where it's supposed to be before I do the final paint.
If there's any body work or any tweaks that have to be done, now's the time before the paint gets on.
It looks like it's gonna fit all right.
That's not bad. I mean, if you take it in and you haven't fit your grille, you haven't fit your taillights, you haven't fit your hood and your doors, all you're gonna do is cause problems for yourself trying to fit things later on. And once it's painted, you don't have to worry about it. Everything goes together.
Yeah, the panels all line up pretty good now. Should be good to go. Into the sunset.
The 35 Plymouth is coming along. We've upgraded the electrical system from 6 volt to 12 volt.
Well, this is an important upgrade going from the 6 to 12. Especially all the old wiring was all corroded and all the insulation was worn off, and so we were just looking for a fire to happen. So this is way safe. There's fuses in the car now, all new wirings. So every bulb in the car now has got to be converted to 12 volt. All the dash lights, the tail lights, the brake lights, everything's got to be converted to 12 volt. Okay, let's see, I'll check these wires. And I should have lights on the front here working. Yep, I got some power. So I need to know my sockets are good and that wiring that I put in is good. Test the rears. Okay, am I going? No, not going. Okay. Must have issues with that socket there, so I've only got one going back here. Something's up with that one. Yeah, there we go. I just got a bad ground. I can fix that issue. There we go, both working. So I just have to run up ground wire to the back here. That's all. Easy fix. Now, the main challenge we're gonna have is actually getting a modern headlight bulb to fit in the headlight pot. I have to get a 12-volt bulb mounted in here. So here's the bulb I want to use, or similar to this, and it won't even go through the hole. It won't even mount through. So we have to really modify these headlight pots here to fit a modern bulb. I might just pass the buck off to Kalev. Hey, Mr. Kalev. Yeah. If you made the steering wheel for a Packard, I'm sure you can do something with these lights and make them work for me. Here's the original 6-volt bulb. So I got to put 12-volt headlight bulbs in it. How am I gonna make that modern 12-volt bulb fit in this old headlight pot?
Maybe I can make it a little bit bigger than this, size, and then it locks in.
Locks in, and then we just figure out.
Maybe it holds. It's good.
Yeah.
Okay, I try.
Okay, perfect. Thanks. Maybe I'm just gonna leave all this with Clev and let him figure it out, because he's good at cutting and fitting stuff like that.
So the 69 Charger is finally in the booth getting some color on it. Barry's got the color mixed, and he's gonna get the Viper red stripe put on the back of it.
I'm doing a little spacer guide here so I can do my final stripe on the outside of this. It's gonna be all red in the middle. It'll be black in here because I'll pull this out after I get my final edge line here. And then once I spray the whole car, I'll unmask this, and then I can clear the whole car, and then it'll have a red stripe on the back of it.
Barry's a Dodge guy. He knows where that stripe's gotta be. He's gonna measure it out. It's gonna go across the back, give it that, rear racing stripe. Dodge love to put these stripes on the cars. This is a lot of car. So the big sides on it, you gotta make sure they're straight. He checks them over and over and over before any color gets applied. And especially when you're going with a really, really dark color like it's gonna be. I mean, it's gonna look black at night, and out in the sunshine, it's gonna dance with some cherry accent, and it's gonna be pretty. Fortunately, the customer passed away before he got to see his car finished. He loved this car a lot.
It's got a nice antique glow to it.
I wired it so as soon as you turn the key, they come on.
Grand Prix. Fire up. So we're out today in the Grand Prix, and it's a perfect day for a road test. So the 1985 Grand Prix came in, and the client wanted it better than original. Fortunately, Peter, the customer, passed away before he got to see his car finished, so we're finishing up. He loved this car a lot.
How's it going, guys? The car is very important to me. It's my baby.
So Barry's got some colors here to go on.
Yeah, it's definitely important that we get the right color, because as soon as you see the vehicle, it's the color that really stands out to you. I like that.
Okay.
That's a good color.
I think so, too.
Picked out a beautiful color for it. Barry put custom like candy root beer, and the car looks beautiful. We went through and did everything. We did brakes, motor, transmission, interior, door panels, console. Everything on this car has been gone over, top to bottom. Would be like a brand new 85 Grand Prix with better horsepower, better handling, and some nicer interior points. It's got lots of pep. I mean, coming from the little V6 up to the V8 makes a big difference. The engine sounds fantastic. This Blueprint motor, it's a crate motor, just works fantastic. The power feels good. Everybody, really came together on it, made it look beautiful, drive wonderful. I know that he's smiling down on me on the road test for sure. Ron is working on the Plymouth PJ. He's got all the wires run, and now he's going to be getting the headlights running.
So Kalev modified the factory headlight pot to accept a modern 12-volt halogen bulb. And then we changed the little bulb up top to 12-volt, and it's ready to go. Oh, I was impressed with Kalev's work. He's a master at these small little, finicky little things to do. And he fit them perfect. It's like it was meant to be. Okay. No fingerprints in there.
If you're a real devout hobbyist, loving antique and classic cars, and you want that feel, that's fine. But one of the things about Resto Mods is, by the time you're finished, if it's done properly, you actually have a car that's much safer to use.
Fit perfectly, secured in place, beautiful job. The guy's gonna have great lighting.
How's the hot rod coming, Ronnie?
That's good, one step closer.
It's got a nice antique glow to it.
I wired it so as soon as you turn the key, they come on.
Cool, it's like
Just like daytime running lights. So I'm really happy the way this Plymouth's turned out. I can't wait to take the thing for a road test and see how it runs. Oh, yeah. It's good.
Wow. That's pretty sexy.
We're gonna do a test drive today in the 35 Plymouth. I want to check out the new engine we put in. Yeah, it feels not bad. So we're just finishing up on the 35 Plymouth here. One of the last things to do, we're just waiting for some parts and finally got the parts. This is a breather, but it has a PCV valve built into it. The PCV valve is one of the earlier pollution control devices. Positive crankcase ventilation, what it does is sucking the fumes out of the engine and reburning them to not let them out into the atmosphere.
In the 1940s, people became aware of the degradation of air quality in major cities, and one of the largest contributing factors to that was the automobile. The state of California became the first government to regulate car emissions when it adopted requirements for the use of PCV valves in the early 1960s.
The 35 Plymouth now has a more modern engine. It's from a 1969, so it would have had a PCV valve in it from the factory. The new cars of today would still have a PCV valve, but a little more sophisticated. It still has the same thing, so there's no fumes being emitted out into the atmosphere. Yeah, perfect. And that's it. And I got an air cleaner to go on there. I want to see how that fits. We had to get this spacer here because there's a big HEI distributor, and the air cleaner that we had wouldn't fit. Nice, looks good. I gotta cut the rod to secure the air filter, hook up that PCV valve, and I'm ready to get it outside and run it.
So I did a couple of different paint samples for the Charger. He wanted like a black cherry, so I did a couple of different versions. The one he picked has a red pearl and ice pearl, they call it. The 69 Charger, they come with the bumblebee stripe. So that's basically how they made those cars back then. But it's just like updated colors, so it's gonna look a little different, but same feel of the 70s.
What's going on in here?
Not much.
Oh, I can see.
Ooh. Wow, that looks nice. That's pretty sexy. Wow, it's got like a major light in it.
You can see the pearl in it.
Wow.
Wow, that's a long way from what it was when it came in.
Oh, yeah.
This is something else. I love it. Love, love, love it. It's a huge relief just to get the color on this. Pretty, pretty, pretty. The customer was waiting and waiting and waiting, and now I get to send him some pictures, and I'm sure he's gonna be thrilled with it. Another Dodge. Keep you happy working on Dodges.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna do a test drive today in the 35 Plymouth. Do a little ride around the backyard. Just want to make sure everything's good before I jump out on the road with it. We installed the 273 cubic inch V8 engine and automatic transmission in it. So we're just gonna give it a little drive and run it through its paces and make sure everything's working okay. I left the hood off so we can get easy access to the engine and do the final little details to it.
It's been sitting there for a couple of weeks, so it's cold. I mean, it needs to warm up a little bit.
That's good. It seems to run just fine, and the brakes are working okay. Runs good.
It looks so cool, too.
I love this off.
Oh, yeah.
Just he came by and it was like, now there's a hot rod.
So pop the hood back on, and away we go. Well, you know what? It feels okay. The steering's a little bit loose and a little sketchy. We got to tighten the steering box up, but the brakes seem to be working okay. So I'm not stepping on the accelerator very hard because this thing's still got the original rear end in it and stuff, so I'm afraid of causing damage if I were to really boot it. But the main thing right now, I want to check out the new engine we put in. We took the original 6-cylinder out and we installed a small Chrysler 273 cubic inch V8 with a 3-speed automatic transmission. So it feels okay. Just to cruise around what this guy wants, this will be fine. The main things is it's not overheating. Oil pressure's right up there. So all the things with the engine are good. I'm not concerned about that anymore.
Ron came back after the test drive with the 35 Plymouth. We didn't put great horsepower in this, but it gets it up and moves it, so he's pretty happy with it.
The engine's running perfect, so that's it.